Round one. Fight.
Heroes never die.
I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite store on the Citadel.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Power, sex, power. They both come down to one thing.
Hungry gamers.
Hello, and welcome, boys and girls, to the 181st episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. We are powered by 8bit.net and those legends at Audio Technica. I am your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan8bit. And joining me today on this gaming journey, my hungry ride or die, Dojo's #1 fan. You can find her at Miss Allie Hart. Obviously, we're talking about Miss Allie Hart. And rounding out the trilogy today, a man of mystery, charm, and poise, a famed space smuggler and lover of a group of bulldogs from the Wild West. You can find him enjoying a cold Coke or at Kruse_mate. He's back from the podcast Wilderness. Mr. Jack Kruse, welcome to the Hungry Gamers episode 181. It's been a while.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Thank you for the way too generous introduction. But yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a while. I was just saying, it feels like forever since I've dusted off the old AT 2020 and put the old headphones on and done a podcast. So yeah, it's good to be back.
Mate, they say it's just like riding a bike, so you're going to be fine. I think I probably used all the energy I have this morning in that intro,
That
so
was
you
an
guys
epic
carry me
intro, man.
for the next 60 minutes.
I appreciate it. I very much appreciate it. I'll carry you through, brother.
But I got my friend Nespresso Pod Black Coffee to see me through. He's my new little ride or die, as you heard last week, and we're persisting. What have you got? You got some...
It's a Monster Energy Ultra Paradise. It's like an orange... It's just something I had in the fridge. It's like an apple. Like an apple energy drink. It's different.
Mean.
Kruse ain't fucking around, waking up straight on the energy drink.
I gotta bring the energy. I can't just roll in these days and turn it on. Need some artificial pep.
Well, that's it. Well, you're in the 30s now, and anyone that is anybody knows that once you hit them 30s, the energy levels and the metabolism and just your general well-being, it goes downhill pretty quick.
Absolutely. I shit you not, I turned 30, and that very same week I had my first picking up and lifting something back injury, and it was not even something big or heavy. It was just I just pick this thing up and move it. I was like, oh shit, what does that feel a little ping? I'm like, damn. I'm like, oh god, the universe knows I'm getting old.
It's super sad. The other day, I hurt my neck from turning it slightly to the left. So it doesn't get better, I'm sorry.
Can I ask, do you guys ever, when you do a really big sneeze, get pains?
Yes. I was just going to say that. The sneezing, the pulling of muscles when you sneeze, yeah. Put my shoulder out the other day from a sneeze.
I immediately think the worst, I've got some terminal illness or something, because why would a sneeze hurt that bad? Because you do a big sneeze, then you sort of keeled over in a ball, and you're like, oh!
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it gets bad. It gets bad after 30. I felt a little pain in my hand the other day. I'm like, well, that's it. It's been a good run.
Yep.
See you later.
Yep. 30. That's nothing to frown about. 90 years or so ago. That's sort of that was a good innings. 30. So let's see if we can keep bucking that trend. But I guess we could sort of segue nicely into maybe talking about some things that we've been doing, anything we've been playing we want to mention. I want to mention something I've watched. I didn't play a huge amount of stuff this week, but now that you are the special co-host in this episode, Mr. Kruse, do you want to enlighten us to maybe some things that you've been playing? Anything you want to bring to the table?
Yeah, I hadn't been playing a lot lately. I think 2019 was a bad year of gaming for me. I struggled to get through a lot of things. I started so many. I bought all of the big releases, but I just didn't finish any of them. Didn't finish Days Gone, didn't finish Death Stranding, DMC. There's 4 or 5 games. Even Borderlands 3, I didn't get through. I only finished Rage, Control, Jedi, a few others. So I've been sort of struggling to get into some stuff, and I hadn't played anything really since Jedi, and I'm a big advocate for the old game is old type thing. I don't generally like to go back and play older games. One, because I don't know, you can just tell the progression as time goes on, how things get better, and it kind of makes it weird, and also don't want to ruin. I've had games that's one of my favorite games of all time, and I've gone back and played it. You remember Star Wars Bounty Hunter on
Love that
like
game.
PS2? I loved that game growing up. I thought it was an absolute masterpiece. Anyway, they've re-released it on. You can get it on PS4 now, and I've gone back to try and play it. And I'm just like, wow, this is terrible.
Just tainted that memory.
Yeah. Final Fantasy X, same thing happened. Like that was like an all-time favorite, and I went back and I was just like, oh, these characters are insufferable. And so, yes, exactly. So I generally don't like to go back and play old games, but as I'm sure a lot of people did when the Witcher series came out on Netflix, I started Witcher 3 again, jumped back in and played that, and damn, what a fantastic game!
It is a beauty.
It's just so good.
Have you do you play 1 and 2, or was 3 sort of your first dive in? Like a lot of people, it seems they've sort of just skipped the first 2 and just went straight into the third.
Yeah, the 3. Yeah, so I did a lot of like watching like the YouTube videos recapping before playing Witcher 3, and a lot of it like didn't make sense. I'm like, oh yeah, all these characters. I kind of got the gist of what was going on, and but it's still just when he started Witcher 3, I still kind of had like no idea what was going on. But then after watching the series now, and you get introduced to like Full Test and all these other characters, and like pivotal things that happen like in the Witcher world, and then going and watching those videos again and seeing how like the TV series ties in with the games and the books, and then starting Witcher 3, I'm like, starting it again, I'm like, all of this makes so much more sense now. Like I have a real like, I guess, grounding in this world, and it just made it a lot more enjoyable, like talking to people and him having conversations with people about stuff that's happened in the past, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I kind of have like a slight knowledge of that and the connection between these people, and so yeah, I enjoy jumping. It's just an awesome game. It's just one of the all-time great games.
I think an important question that everyone would want to know is: did you get any raw dogging done down at the grotto?
At the grotto.
Did you pleasure many people on your Witcher 3 journey?
I'm a big fan of Kira Metz. I think she's I would pick her over Yen and Triss. And on my first playthrough, yeah, I know, controversial. On my first playthrough, I slept with Kira. And I was like, this playthrough, I'm like, I have a sort of a general memory of how I went about things, and I know that you can choose to kill Kira. And I'm like, I'm going to try and do things a bit differently just to see how they play out. But I still banged her this time. I was like, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of the Witcher code, I think. You know, slaying monsters and just raw dogging. It's
I love how he's like,
mantra.
At the end of it, he's just like, the different like dialogue options you have with her. He's like, one of them's just like, I can't believe we fucked.
Geralt.
Good old Geralt.
He doesn't go backwards by going forwards, does he? He's a man of few words, but you got to love that character.
Absolutely. And the other thing I started playing this week was Bioshock. Obviously, the Bioshock collection was just released on PS Plus, and same thing, jumped back in, was a bit sort of, because I remember playing it originally back in like 2013, and I loved it, loved that game, like fell in love. But there was a few things I'm like, it was a bit, controls were a bit clunky and a few different other things, and I thought I was really worried about jumping back into this. I thought, this is I'm not gonna enjoy this. It's gonna be weird and clunky, but no, still an amazing game. I'm really impressed, and same again. Like I think I'm enjoying it more this time around. Kind of like knowing what Rapture and everything's all about, and listening to the audio tapes and stuff starting to make a lot of sense. Kind of knowing the journey that you go on through the game. So, what an awesome game! What a fantastic
trilogy, like. All for free, including the remasters and the graphical enhancements and everything else. Like they are up there. Like you talked about The Witcher 3 being like one of the best games of this generation / potentially all time. I think especially Bioshock 1 and 2. Infinite was great too, but 1 and 2 are so beautiful and so well done and expertly crafted, and I love that world. I haven't gone back and played the collection. I've got it on Steam, but also just grabbed it on PS Plus the other day too. Yeah, but man, they're just heavenly games. Miss Hart, what do you reckon? Are you going to go back and pick these up? I know you're not really playing any consoles, or I think you even said you might not even have consoles in your house anymore.
Not really.
So no free Bioshock collection for you.
The PlayStation's the one that really shat itself. So that really, it was pretty bad. I was like halfway into, what was I playing? I was playing something very significant, and then it just died on me. I'm like, welp. So Bioshock.
Senran Kagura.
Yeah, probably Water Splash Party or whatever it is, the Super Soaker one.
Dream Daddy.
But The Witcher 3, I've actually got to experience like watching someone else play, and I gotta say, I'm really I think I might actually get into The Witcher 3 because I'm liking a lot of characters that you have conversations with, especially the trolls. I absolutely adore the trolls. And they're good. They're broken, sentence structures and how they interpret words, and so I actually might pick up The Witcher 3 and give that a playthrough.
Because you still haven't played any of the Witcher games, have you?
No, I've never played.
One. Yeah,
I'm about to lose my gamer card because I've never played a Witcher and I've never played a Bioshock.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're two pretty big tentpole franchises, and yeah, The Witcher. That universe is just one of the most fully fleshed out and realized universes in gaming, I think. Especially 3, every single NPC you meet has got a backstory and they're different to the person you met just before down the road. CD Projekt Red did phenomenal with that, and I can't wait to see what they do in this next retelling with Cyberpunk in the future and how they flesh that out and how sexy robot Keanu Reeves goes. So...
I don't know if it's a spoiler, but on my watch through of The Witcher 3, Ciri actually alludes to Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I was just thinking that she talks about how she travels through the worlds and she goes to this metal world where everything's cybernetic and that. So I guarantee there'll be an Easter egg somewhere, or she'll have a cameo in the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's 100%. So cool.
Yeah, can't wait for later this year. Miss Hart, I see you've been playing a game we've sort of talked about on and off.
Yeah.
One that I've had a little bit of experience with.
Yeah, surprisingly. I'm actually really surprised that you played a game like this because I'm not too sure if it was ever a game that you would play or likely play. But I actually finally got my hands on Graveyard Keeper on PC. Now, I want to give a thank you to Nabuyoshi from Game Sushi Podcast, who actually shot through a message on Discord saying, hey, it's a part of Humble Bundle. I already have it. So here's a code if you just want to install it. And
sweet.
Well, I forgot that we had Humble Bundle in our household. So either way, it was a blessing because now I knew that we actually had a copy. So just a special thank you. And I finally played it. And I get the Stardew vibes, the whole daily task, getting to know people and doing all that sort of business. But I've got to say, it's a rough slog trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing.
It really doesn't tell you much, does it?
It doesn't. And I don't know how many times I had to Google, how am I supposed to do this? Where are my tasks listed? What is this? And what is that? How do I save? I got very frustrated at the beginning in regards to just finding my way in the game and finding how to make certain tools, certain crafting. Usually there's some kind of process, some kind of structure that you can follow, so then you can basically get the grasp of other things. But I felt like with this one, it was just all over the place. So it's it was hard to kind of identify what was the best task for you to focus on to then lead on to other opportunities and to open either up, items, maps or whatever. So
is it purposefully obtuse or is it just bad game design?
I think it's bad game design because on the level of how everyone has compared it to Stardew, it could have the exact same format. I don't see why it wasn't kind of set out the same unless that's a copyright or some kind of interest. But I mean, Stardew was Harvest Moon, and it's all got the same kind of flow. I just feel with Graveyard Keeper, maybe they just missed a few steps, or they thought that maybe it was self-explanatory. I mean, some of us still need the safety wheels on our bicycles, so
sure.
It was a little unfortunate. It was a little deterring, but in saying that, I got really damn addicted to just fixing up my graveyard
and desecrating bodies and things like that.
Yeah, and then but that was the other thing. The donkey. Oh, this is going to sound so funny to no one familiar with the game. The donkey kept on dropping off dead bodies, and I'd be like,
course.
as donkeys do. And then I'd go to do an autopsy, and then as you start to educate yourself and open more, like tech tree kind of stuff, you can then go from taking human meat to then taking their skull, their bones, their blood, their fat. But then in doing so, you the body loses its how valuable it is, or
loses its luster.
Yeah,
because you're just picking the good parts out of it.
Exactly.
What do you think of the little skull companion you've got that guides you through some of the stuff? The little
Jerry?
the demon skull that pops up. Yeah, Jerry, that's right.
Yeah, Jerry is pretty useless for someone that's meant to be your guide. So far, the only thing he's really instructed me to do is to give him both beer and wine, with very half-assed guidance. I think there's going to be some turning point in the story because he's not familiar with who he is. He's kind of got amnesia. So I feel like there's going to be some story turning point where he's going to be he was someone very, important. But, I am probably going to keep playing it. Because a slight level of addiction. I just hope that I hit a point because I finally opened the church. I hope that that's a turning point in the game where everything kind of starts to unravel and it just starts to make sense and it becomes, that fine mechanism that comes with these kind of games where you're like, cool, I wake up, I plant trees, I do this, I do that. Or else, if it doesn't make sense, then I might have to just drop it.
Yeah, the story starts to open up a little bit once that church comes more into play and you start to see some of the townsfolk and their ulterior motives and seeing a little bit of darkness around the community. It's good fun. I haven't finished the game, but I've progressed further than that, and yet it certainly does become less monotonous and less about, as you said, those daily farm routines and more about getting engrossed in what's happening around the township, which is kind of cool.
No, I don't give a shit about the story. I never
come
do.
on now.
I never do. I just want to have my shit sorted and have the best looking graveyard in the world, or the best
have that fine oil machine.
Exactly right. I need that kind of justification in my life that I have something. I have something that's actually working out pretty well. I also hate traversing the map. I hate how fucking long it takes me to get to town.
It is a mess. It is a mess.
Stupid.
I got lost so many times trying to remember how to get to certain parts of the map to go see certain people and things, and it was really, really frustrating.
Yeah, it's a shame. Because I think if those little, and it seems very simple things that you could have just knocked out or fixed, if those things were taken into consideration, I probably would be really, really into this game. But, you have those little, negatives in your head, so it's hard to give it that full gusto.
Yeah. Speaking of full gusto, I gave mine in Apex Legends Season 4 this past week, and my God, I have gotten even shitter at that game. It is something. Obviously, Revenant is the new playable character, hidden behind a paywall, of course, but yeah, jumped in this week with Season 4 debuting. Mm-hmm. Love the game. Love some of the map change-ups and some of the different sort of spins on areas that used to be familiar with. Mm-hmm. Still love the concept, 3v3, Battle Royale, Apex and Respawn. They've done really well. The game's great, but man, my aim and shooting ability just gets worse and worse, it feels like, as the days tick by. And the sneezes
what are you playing
start
on?
To impede. I'm playing on PC, but I've got it on everything, so I can play on everything. And I've been playing on PC predominantly with the controller.
Oh, you pleb.
But it just feels nice, and I've got the Elite controller, so you've got the extra toggles on the back, so you can map your buttons, so you can kind of lessen the strategic advantage of keyboard mouse players a little bit. But my aim is just so bad. But Revenant is such a cool character. His abilities, he's obviously this cyborg assassin that, for anyone that's seen the trailers and what have you this week, but his sort of ultimate abilities, you can drop this death totem. So if you get felled in combat with this thing active, you don't actually die. You go back to the totem and sort of respawn or regenerate in a way, and you can go back into battle. So you get another pass at everything. And his movement style is a little bit quicker. He can traverse walls quicker and faster and things like that. So he's a nice run and gun type of player. And I unlocked this other character. I didn't even know this guy got released, and I think we ever talked about it on the podcast, called Crypto. He's this sort of like Asian Yakuza guy that I never even heard of until I jumped in the game, and he's got this little drone that can cruise around and survey the area, which I thought was cool, but then I bought him, and you actually have to man the drone. I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. So now it takes me out of the game, and I'm just squirting around with little drone camera doing nothing. So I used him for about 3 rounds and went, yeah, I regret this purchase. Very much so. So he's back on the bench. But it's just good fun. You guys, I know, Miss Hart, you were talking about getting back into Apex. Kruse, I know you dabbled a bit on the PlayStation when it first came out, right?
No, I never. No, I was a big Blackout. I like
on the CODs.
On the CODs, yeah. So that's like my only real dabbling in the battle royale space. But the thing with that is that I got so addicted to Blackout that it was like the game I played the most in like 2018 and like early 2019. Like I just loved it. I was like game after game after game after game after game. And I look at Apex, I'm like, man, that looks cool. I want to try it, but I know it would just take over my life, and I don't know if I could commit to something like that at the moment.
Yeah, it's good for that pick up, put down, because you can finish games, sub 10 minutes, so it's not going to be a massive time consumer. But getting good, that's where it hurts, like where you would just be playing on the reg all day, every day to try and get up there. But I want to keep persistent. I want to get better and get some season 4 wins under my belt. We made it to like final 3 a couple of times this week, but even that was like a tough slog. Like I was on edge the entirety of the game. My heart's beating out of my chest. I had these runs where I just either couldn't find a gun or I couldn't find ammo for the gun that I had. So a couple of battles I had like 10 bullets left in a clip once or twice. And this is like mid-game, and I'd run out of bullets, so then I'm just sort of trying to shimmy and dodge my way to them to melee them to death. And it never worked. But my God, it added it took some years off my life playing it. But yeah, they're doing really well. I like this character, this Revenant, Crypto on the bus, but the other guys that are available, pretty cool. You going to get in on it this week, Miss Hart?
Yeah, I definitely am. I've just been like a little bit like preoccupied this week, unfortunately. But I definitely want to jump into it next week. I've been watching a lot of streams, been watching a lot of people play. Saw Snowbike Mike from the Kind of Funny community.
Snowbike Mike?
Yeah. So he was playing it. So, I mean, he's good at it. So it's really hard to learn of people that are just, pretty damn good at the game. But I'm definitely going to jump on it next week.
I think practice... I remember from school, practice makes permanent, they used to say. So,
Practice makes permanent?
That's what my maths teacher used to say.
I thought it was
because
perfect.
you practice. But like, I guess she didn't believe in perfection or something. I don't know. Mrs. Hill, her name was. So practice makes permanent. As in, practice all the time, it gets embedded in your mind, you remember it type of thing. So
Mrs. Hill dealing out that knowledge.
Yeah. And then when I finished, complete aside here, but she was my year 10 maths teacher, but 11 and 12 I had to do at another school. Went to the other school, and her husband, Mr. Hill, was my maths teacher at the other school for year 11 and 12. Yep. And he was a volunteer firefighter, so sometimes when we didn't want to do maths, a couple of people in the class used to call up and make fake fire complaints, so he'd have to run away and then we wouldn't have maths. Yeah. I know in this day and age that's a bit more sensitive, but back then we were fire free. So,
at least it was a fake call-in and not other
people weren't starting fires.
I'm
gonna burn down the school.
Mrs. and Mr. Hill, legends. All right, so I guess we could talk about what we've been watching. I might lead this off. I went and watched Birds of Prey that dropped this past week. Obviously, the fantabulous emancipation of the one Harley Quinn. Yeah, it was all right. There's a lot of people reviewing this saying it's like one of the best DC movies made, and it's like it's fantabulous, taking a word straight out of the title. Like I see a lot of 8 out of 10s and things like that, and it didn't hit those notes for me. Like I enjoyed what I was presented with. That was nice and vibrant and funny and tongue in cheek, and it had a really cracking pace, and characters were great. Like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, fantastic in that role. And also Ewan McGregor playing Black Mask. He owned it. He committed to that role 1,000,000%. So I love what they did with the two sort of leads on the protagonist and the antagonist side. But overall, it didn't really have a huge amount of substance for me. Outside of the visuals and that rapid fire dialogue and some real heavy injections of violence and coarse language, like, it's clear they've went, you know what, Deadpool can succeed in this space. Let's try and make the DC Deadpool. So there's a lot of fourth wall breaking, a lot of swearing, a lot of blood, a lot of bone breakage, just to try and make it a bit more of an adult superhero or a comic book
gratuitous
movie.
Violence.
Yeah, it was a good movie overall. Like, it's a good popcorn film, but yeah, 5-6 out of 10, I'd say. And I'd still recommend watching it, but yeah, I don't think you should believe the hype of all this phenomenally positive reviews that are going out. Like, from a pure visual perspective, it was a great watch, but yeah, there just wasn't really any depth to it. And some of the editing choices were really bizarre. Like, there was some noticeable cuts in a few scenes where they'd reference a character and then all of a sudden that character's gone. Like, it doesn't really, like, that's not a spoiler, but just weird parts where you sort of get disconnected from them and go, hang on, that makes no sense. That's completely different to what was just going on. Like, very bizarre thought processes there, but Kathy Yan and Margot Robbie were director and producer on this, and it's a hell of a ride. And they're quick to talk about, like, to poo-poo Joker, and there's no Jared Leto. There's a lot of references to the Joker, and they sort of talk about their breakup right off the jump to talk about this as a, I guess a finding yourself film for Harley Quinn. But
yeah,
I don't know, man, and woman, I just
didn't hit.
I think I was expecting more, maybe, or was I?
I don't know. Like, all the trailers they released for this movie made me go, ugh. Like, I had no interest in this film, so hearing everyone being like, oh, it's an 8, it's pretty good, blah, 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 I'm like, you're lying. Like, it might be okay, but it's not, what you guys are reviewing it. Like,
do you think it's a bit of, like, at the risk of being controversial with these sorts of reviews, these types of movies, a bit of virtue signaling? It's a bit of, like, we have to like this movie because it's a
predominantly
strong female lead.
Yeah.
Like we can't poo-poo this because otherwise we're, like, people are sort of almost scared to give a correct opinion on it or an honest opinion.
Yeah,
I think there's a bit of that, to be honest. Like it is a very strong pro-female cast, and the performances by all the actors and actresses involved in the film, they all were committed. Like, you couldn't really see anyone mailing it in, except maybe Ali Wong, of all people. She's in it as, like, a DA, just a little bit part, but she sort of just seemed like she just rolled in for a paycheck and rolled out. But everyone else was really great. Like, Margot Robbie was good, Mary Elizabeth Winstead was good, Journey, who played Black Canary, and everyone else. They were giving it 110%, but I don't know, it just had no real depth to it. Like, they tried to flesh out some of these characters and add a little bit more weight, but it was just, the first act was really sluggish. The sort of final act really comes together, and there's some cool set pieces where the birds of prey, you could almost say, come as one and do some pretty cool stuff. But it's the first act was just a bit weird and disjointed for me.
Yeah, okay.
I think that, like, for me personally, there was just too many things that, like, kind of rubbed me the wrong way about that movie way earlier on, and it never got better. So
yeah.
Yeah,
some cool little Easter eggs, and it is probably leaps and bounds better than Suicide Squad. Probably, I don't know if that's saying much or saying little, but I enjoyed it a lot more than Suicide Squad.
I never watched the Suicide Squad when it came out because everyone sort of seemingly hated it. And about a month ago or something, I was just sort of flicking through Netflix. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to watch it. Because I've not been able to get into, say any of the real, like, the DCU movies. Like, Man of Steel was bleh, whatever. Haven't watched Batman vs Superman, haven't watched Justice League. Wonder Woman, I thought was boring as batshit. Yeah, and I just couldn't get into it. I'm like, this movie's boring. I'm like, I don't know, like, it's boring. I know they're going to come for me now, I know. But movie was boring. And I watched Suicide Squad, and I'm like, okay, this is not a great movie by any standards, but it's not terrible. Like, the joke, like, there was some things in it that were bad, but, like, overall, I thought, like, this is a fine, like, okay, solid 6 movie. Like, it's a solid 6.
Thank
and
you,
it's not like people like poo-poo this movie like it was like the worst. And I think it was probably like the hype coming into it, like new Joker. Like, there's a lot of expectation that comes with with that character specifically. You put that character in a movie, you better fucking nail it, because that's an iconic character. That's like, it's like Joker and Darth Vader. Like, those are the two like villains in pop culture. So if you're going to use those characters, you better fucking nail it. And he was by far the worst part of the movie, but I thought the rest of it was fine. I'm like, this is a fine, like, dumb action flick. Like, this is like a Michael Bay, like, I can sit here and not have to think too deeply, and there's some cool effects, and there's some cool punchlines, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. And that's what I've always said about Suicide Squad, is that, yeah, it's not a fucking masterpiece. It's not like high quality film, but it's entertaining. There's a lot of things that they get wrong, but for the most part, you know, there's a good amount of interesting characters, you know, maybe all right action, but for the most part, it's a good dumb action movie. Yeah.
I feel like people really like held that film to a higher standard because of the Joker piece. And, you know, if we all remember when they first revealed that Joker, like, there was so, like, you know, the internet was split. It was like, some people loved it. This is so cool. Look at this new age sort of Joker. He's got tats and this, that, and the other, and he's real freaky looking. And some people were like, what the fuck is this? He's got grills.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was bad. He was so bad. Like, I was really, because I love the Joker. The Joker, I think, is one of the great characters ever. And there's been so many, if you think about like all the portrayals, like from Mark Hamill to Nicholson to fucking Ledger, like, you know, Phoenix now, like, you look at that and you go, yeah, they fucked that.
It's tough too, because I think just about everybody knows how good an actor Jared Leto is or can be, and yet
great actor.
What they gave him, and also you hear the rumors that they cut an absolute boatload of scenes out that he actually did as the Joker in Suicide Squad, just really then delivered this watered down interpretation that was just there. And as you said, like the things that everyone remembers, it's the smile tattoo on his hand, or the stupid grills. I love Jared Leto, and I think he probably could have done a lot with that character, but they just gave him next to nothing to work with, it seemed like.
They gave him a chance.
That was just those characters in that whole movie in general. Like, they didn't really flesh out anybody. A lot of them got a really short cutaway, given a bit of backstory, and then it's just, quips and a bit of violence and a bit of sort of distrust between the group, and keep on rolling.
Either way, we've got a new Suicide Squad coming up with, what's his name? Gunn?
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn.
So, I mean...
Pariah is back.
Let's, I've got my fingers, toes, anything that can possibly be crossed. As a sad DC fan on this end, I really hope he knocks this out of the park.
I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. Like, the Guardian of the Galaxy movies are magnificent.
Yeah, they're good.
And what he did with those, and those, like, characters that no one gave a fuck about Rocket Raccoon or Groot or Star-Lord before those movies, and he made them household names, and he made people fall in love with them. And, like, if he can do that with those characters who no one's ever heard of, then he's, you know, what he can do with established characters I'm really excited to see.
I'm just curious what they're going to do with this, because it's like a soft reboot, but like it's been confirmed, like Margot Robbie's back. Apparently, like Will Smith's back on the line, but some of the others are going to probably be shuffled.
He's out.
Isn't Jamie Foxx in? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Jamie Foxx is in for Will Smith now.
Oh, damn.
But
I don't mind that. I love me some Fox.
Oh, flip. The guy who played Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
Oh, the Aussie guy.
Yeah, he's back in.
Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's back in.
He was good. I liked him in... I don't know whether that's a bit of like, I like seeing Australians in American films. But I liked him in the... Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he was a good part of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
From Caranbara.
But, doubling back, are you guys in any rush, or are you going to go out and try and see Birds of Prey at the cinemas? Or are you going to wait till DVD
I'll watch it on
or
Netflix
stream?
in like 3 years.
I don't know. It'll probably be second fiddle, because Sonic's coming out soon, so I'll prioritize that.
It's tough sledding when Sonic gets priority over. I know you're a big Sonic fan, like, and it's like Sonic's your gaming truth, but like when that gets priority over Birds of Prey, you know the worlds are changing.
Yikes.
I want my hedgehog, not my birds.
That's it. But yeah, it's like if anyone's a DC fan, it's a good feast for the senses at the very least. Some good laughs, some cool fight scenes, but just I don't know. It's just a bit of a weirdly paced ride, and I expected more. I came out of it happy, but I expected more because I'm selfish. I don't know. Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey. So, Miss Hart, I want to ask. You checked out some Good Place this week.
I did on recommendation. So I'm like, okay, let's load it up. Let's give it a go. Holy shit, it's such a good show. It is so nice.
It really is, isn't it?
It is so nice. It's such a good like a palate cleanser.
Wholesome.
Like
It's wholesome.
Yeah, like I like like the angle that it's going in at the moment, and I like that nothing's forced. It's just easygoing. It's flowy, and I like it. Like I can see why this is such a popular show. So I'm all on board. I'm probably going to watch this till the end.
Yeah,
Nice.
4 great seasons. Kristen Bell is just a little dream, and Ted
a gem.
Danson. Love Ted Danson.
Is it really by the same guy that did Parks and Rec?
That I'm not even sure
Good
of.
question.
I think that's what I read. Because if that is the case, then that should have just been the nail on the head for me. Like, if someone just said, "Oh, it's the same person that does like Parks and Rec," then. But I mean, it's got it's got the same kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Michael Schur.
yeah, so that should
I
have
was
just been
blanking
it
on
for
his
me.
name.
There you go.
So yeah, thanks for the recommendations. So I'm all on board.
That's what I like to hear. And Kruse, you've been watching
Yes.
a few things. I'm still late to the sex education meeting, probably in more ways than one, I guess.
Zing.
Season 2 obviously dropped, a
Yep.
couple of weeks ago? Are you up to
Yep.
date? You watching season 2?
I'm about halfway through. It's more sex ed from like same as season 1. Like great. Like I loved the first season of Sex Education. I thought it was like amazing. Really loved it. Really enjoying it. Really liking these characters. Really liking like where this season is going. There's still like I love this show. Like it's probably one of my favorite shows I've watched. But there's also a part of me that's like seeing like 16-year-old kids like having sex and stuff. I'm like, there's something that's a bit like, this is quite graphic. There's a lot of like, I'm like, these kids are in high school. It's like, this is bordering on like, I'm not sure how this is allowed to be on television.
How do I feel about this?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a great show. So there's not a lot of that stuff. It's generally just like all of the sex scenes generally take place at the start of the episode, and that kind of like it's kind of like the monster of the week type thing. Like there's the characters and what they have going on in their lives, but then there's always generally like a central thing that the guy's trying to fix or whatever, and it starts. Yeah, so but no, it's good, great show. I finished off You season 2, which I loved almost as much as season 1, and I really loved season 1.
It's so great, and the second season, you think it's going to collapse under all the melodrama that it creates, but yet it somehow stays afloat and churns out a full season with a clear beginning and end, and a potential open door for a 3. But it was
it was alright.
It was something. Old Joe.
I really, man, I was really unsure how they were going to go about this. How, like, at the end of season 1, when like the ex-girlfriend comes back into it, spoilers, I guess. And then
allegedly, and like how I just love how that, like, I was like unsure how are they going to do this. How are they going to make another season of this show? Like, how are they going to make this work? And they just nailed it. And like they turned Joe like you kind of root for Joe a little bit in the first season, but you feel real dirty about it. Like you feel you're like, oh, all this stuff's happening, and I can kind of see how, he could just murder all her friends and stuff. Like, of course. But then like at the end, you're like, no, he's just a bad dude. Like he's a bad guy. But all of season 2, he's trying so hard to be a good guy, and like all this stuff's happening, and season 2 is actually like really funny. Like they made it funny. Like there's stuff that would go wrong, and he's like, how did he find himself in this situation? He's like, no, like all these things happening, and you really do start rooting for this guy, because you kind of see like he's just fucked up.
he's just a fucked up. He's had a fucked up childhood. He's just a dude who's just a product of his environment, and he's like, he genuinely wants to just love. Like, that's his like main goal, is just to be in love. And he just finds himself in like getting himself deeper and deeper in these bad situations, and he just wants to be good, and he wants to be in a relationship, and he wants to love. And the way that like the twists and stuff in this show, and like it was just, yeah, it was great. I loved it. So that was real fun. And then I watched the Dracula miniseries, which I know you have some thoughts on, Brendo.
I didn't even persist through the entire first episode, so I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know how you feel about that 3 hours of life you lost. I want the 40 odd minutes of time I watched back. It felt like the neighbors down the road filmed this on a $20 budget. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I love me some Dracula, and I love sort of those monster stories, but this thing just didn't resonate with me at all. It just felt really poorly done. The acting was just, I couldn't work out if it was trying to be serious or trying to be very self-aware with almost the overacting it felt like in certain parts in that first episode. Really? And the CGI was janky, and the practical effects were pretty cheaply done. I don't know. Maybe I was just in the wrong mood at the time when I was watching it, but I was like,
yeah.
Fucking click. I'm done.
Yeah. Look, it was an interesting ride. Like, I was like, this series, like, I've seen people talking about it, and I flicked it on. I'm like, it's 3 episodes, they're like an hour and a half each. I'm like, I can bust this out in like a day. And is that a bad analogy? And so, yeah, and like, I really dug the first and second episodes. Like, I liked that take on it. I liked the characters. I liked the nun kind of character who, like, I won't spoil it, but she's actually someone who, like, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So like the take on that character. And yeah, like, I thought it was like really, like, I really enjoyed the first episode. You're kind of building this world of like what Dracula is to these people, and his rules that he has, and all these different things, and then like the second episode, like, is, I mean, I won't go into spoilers, but it's kind of like he's moving to a different kind of area.
Yeah, he's on his way to London, like the story goes. And I think that was my problem. I had a real hard time disconnecting from Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman and Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder from like the early 90s, which is still one of the most perfect tellings of the Dracula story, in my opinion. And because this show follows those same beats, I was just like, I can't do it. I got to stop.
So I haven't seen Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, you need to. It's a long movie, but it is phenomenal.
It's a slog.
Yeah, so I guess that's probably why, like, I haven't, I didn't have that, I guess, that preconceived idea of what the movie or what the show could be. So I kind of liked the take that they had on that, and I guess traveling, like the first episode is establishing Dracula and like who he is and what he's doing and why, and well, not even why, but just like that he's Dracula basically. And the second episode is he's traveling to to London, and then the third episode, like, I'm not familiar with Bram Stoker's telling, but the third episode kind of just flips everything on its head. And I was really excited for like, when the third episode started, I was like, holy fuck, this is going to be sick. Like, this now, like, this, like, the way that they kind of, like, flip the script, I'm like, this is going to be really cool to see what they do with this. And I feel like they just bombed it in the third episode. I was so bored. Like, I was like, this is boring as shit. I was just flicking around on my phone. I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. And, like, I feel like I could have just watched the first like 5 minutes of the last episode and the last 5 minutes, and I wouldn't need to watch any of the filler in between. Like, it was bad. Like, the third episode was bad, and it kind of killed it for me because I really enjoyed the first and second episodes. Because I'm saying, I love some Dracula. I think Dracula is like a really cool character, and like, there's a lot of mythos around that sort of guy. So yeah, I was disappointed with how it ended, but I really enjoyed what I got out of the first and second episode.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go back, but yeah, go check out Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, it is a long movie, but it's really well done. And seeing a young, like, Keanu was probably 40 years old at the time when he made this movie, but he still looks like he does today. Like, I reckon he might actually be Dracula. Who knows? Like, he doesn't age, this fella.
He could be a vampire.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense.
But yeah, him,
it's
Gary Oldman.
Good cast.
Yeah.
Carrie Elwes.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal film. What was it? Was it 92? Something like that, maybe?
92, yeah.
Pluck that out of my ass.
What? How am I going to watch this? It's not on Netflix or anything, is it?
It'd have to be on a streaming service for sure.
I think it's on like Google Play or some bullshit. I have to pay $3 for it. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
All right, so we've been playing and watching a lot, so I guess we might keep this show moving. And a quick bit of housekeeping. Obviously, at time of recording, it is February the 8th, but February the 10th is 8-bit day. We're not going to go into spoilers in case I accidentally release this episode a little bit early. But February 10th, as you are hopefully listening to it on the Monday, we're going to have a heap of new content releasing. We've got 4 new podcasts, new content creators, new dreams and ideas and directions for the Patreon, as well as a heap of other cool stuff. So thank you in advance for checking out all the stuff on 8-bit day. But get hyped because 2020 is going to be quite the fun roller coaster. But let's get into some news.
This week's news headlines.
All right, some small bites. The first one. Season 2 of The Mandalorian fights its way onto Disney Plus this coming October. I am excited. Kruse, Miss Hart, are you guys equally excited for some more Mandalorian? Some more The Child?
Yeah, of course. I'm surprised we're getting it so quickly.
Yeah. People hungry for it. I'm guessing we're getting it really quick too, because obviously the roaring success of it for one, but also just some of the slippages that Disney Plus have put on some of the other shows. They've got a few of the MCU popping up on there this year, but a few of the others have been pushed back. So maybe they're just trying to fill out that slate. And another 8-ish episodes of The Mandalorian, I'm assuming. Pedro Pascal and the crew. I'm keen as a bean.
I'm pumped. I'm excited, but I'm also terrified. So there was something that on the earnings call, Mr. Iger, sort of the boss, Robert Iger, the Disney boss, he said, like, he just mentioned a couple of things that I'm just like, oh, don't fuck with this, because the first season is just so pure. Like, Favreau was just allowed to do what he wanted. He didn't need to shoehorn in any of the, there's no real, like, established characters shoehorned into this show. It was all fresh. It was all new. He was just allowed to tell his own story. But Iger said a couple of things in the earnings call. He's like that spin-offs are a possibility and that they'll probably utilize more familiar Star Wars characters and this kind of thing. So I just think that they're going to go this. They're going to say this. They're going, the great success of this show, and they're just going to be like, all right, we need to get every single Star Wars character into this show, and we need to spin off for this. We need to have that. And we need to get this character in, and it's just going to turn into a shit show. And I think they should. I think they've got something really good and really pure, and they should just let it be what it is and let it tell its story. But I can just see, like, next season, like, episode 1, we're going to have, like, X established character, and we're like, oh, and there's Bosk, and there's Zucker, so, like, and it's like, oh, really? Like, do we really need that to happen? So I'm worried. Like, I just hope they just let Favreau tell his story and let him do, like, his thing with this show and do it how he sees fit. But I can see them being like, cash grab, let's make the Mandalorian a Mandalorian CU kind of thing.
Yeah, like, I have some similar fears. Like, I think with what Favreau was able to do with season 1 and just knowing, I guess, his previous track record with various franchises and universes, he's got a knack for storytelling. So I'm hoping they just let him keep steering this Mandalorian ship the right way. Yeah, there will be, I think, some introductions to characters that will then spin off into their own, but they are already working on the guy, his name escapes me, but the pilot from Rogue One, he's getting his own show. It's in development at the moment. So maybe they're going to sort of loosen the reins on trying to pump out too many sort of fresh spin-offs off the back of that Star Wars universe, because we do have a lot of content coming, and another fresh trilogy and everything else on its way on the big screen, and games and merchandise and all that stuff. But I'm keen to see what they do with the Black Saber and where they dive in on that. That's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not even going to. I probably shouldn't have even said that now I think about it, but I'm curious to see where they go with it, just knowing some of that broader universe and what that actually means. But I'm keen. I really enjoyed it. Like, it was just a good, fun ride. 8 episodes, didn't overstay its welcome, created a great universe, some cool characters, some memorable moments, and it seemed to build. Like, the first few episodes didn't do much, and it sort of felt like it got better. I know The last episode was a little bit divisive. A few people thought it was a bit flat. Others really loved it. I sort of
I
sat
thought it was great.
more so on the positive side of it. But yeah, more Star Wars. The world's never going to complain about that, and they're going to make money off it regardless if it is good, bad, or otherwise. But
Yeah.
yeah, October 2020. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for WandaVision. That sort of little sizzle reel trailer that they dropped during Super Bowl.
Funky,
WandaVision
right?
stood out to me the most out of those. Like Loki only got a little splash. Sort of Winter Soldier and Falcon looked okay, but WandaVision, what they were trying to do, it just looks crazy and quirky and like Pleasantville with superhero
Yeah.
villains. I'm like, hell yeah, I watched the shit out of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm lukewarm on like Wonder. Like I feel like just those two characters. Like I was never really enamored with them. Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. Like I do not care for Sam Wilson. Like so now that he's Captain America, I'm like, okay, like I get that that's the way that it goes in the comics and that, but like I really just loved Captain America. So well, yeah, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like they've done well bringing Cap to the screen because he was a bit of a boring character through a lot of his stories, but they fleshed him out and made him someone you care about, and we'll see if they can do the same with Falcon.
Yeah, he was the Superman of like the Marvel universe, Captain America. He was the good boy, that doesn't swear and kind of boring, and it's like, yeah, this guy's just like all good, but they made him like they humanized that that character. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they can do with how Sam Wilson portrays the role.
Hell yeah, I love me some Winter Soldier though. Bucky is fantastic, and the guy that plays him, whose name escapes me, he was just made for that role.
Yeah. Man, if they ever do like a retelling of like Luke Skywalker, like he's the dude that plays it. Like, have you seen that comparison, the side by side comparison?
Yeah, it's actually
haven't.
Like
really scary.
it's uncanny. It's uncanny. Like he looks. Oh, God, this is gonna do. This is gonna do my head in now. Sebastian Stan.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's in that. Disney have got him in his back pocket. Get him in as a young Luke Skywalker.
Oh, that's
that'd be
a
great.
good point.
Yeah, sadly, this next point is not good. Sony closes first-party studio, Manchester VR. The studio was formed in 2015 to specifically work on VR-oriented games. It never released a game and now has become the third UK studio PlayStation has closed in the PS4 generation. So don't really know the inner workings as to what happened here. Like the studio's been around for touching on 5 years now. No game ever saw the light of day under the tutelage of Sony, so maybe there was just development hell and just hemorrhaging money, I'm assuming. But it is a shame. You never want to hear and see studios go under because obviously this is people's livelihoods we're talking about. So wish everybody all the best and hopefully they can land in some other roles within the gaming space and keep on living their best life.
Sad.
I have to imagine it's quite expensive to make games in the UK, like just knowing what their economy is kind of like and how expensive it is just to live there. So and it would purely be a financial decision. They would be looking at it going, look, this game's not coming out quick enough, it's costing us a buttload. Everyone, all these companies are coming up and doing their earnings calls and stuff now, like coming up to the from the end of last year coming up to the start of quarter one. Like it's a shame because people's jobs have been lost in that, but if hopefully these guys are talented enough, they can find new homes and in the gaming sphere.
Yeah, I think so. I'm thinking about that now. Why don't more game studios like set up shop in Monaco or something? Tax free.
Yeah,
they could make games there and avoid any government repercussions. No doubt they probably have to pay some under the table dealings and whatever else. But let's open up a studio in Monaco and then just live the high life.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably like they're gonna find all these people who want to move to Monaco.
Yeah,
that's probably because I'm like thinking, hey, that's a fucking good idea. I'll move to Monaco, and then I'm like, then I have to pack everything up and take my son.
I have to go to Bunnings and get some boxes.
Yeah. I imagine it's something to do with that.
Yeah. All right. Something else you might have time to do is watch the third season of Castlevania next month. It debuts on Netflix from March the 5th. I still haven't watched the second season. I've heard it's great. I really enjoyed the first season. Yeah. Obviously, it finished way too soon, the first season. Building up and then just went, the end, see you next year type of thing. And I was very upset about that, but I need to get back on the train and see what Dracula and co have been up to. So
do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Get it. It's good though. Like for you, like I watched the first season and then the second season came out. This first season's perfect because it's like 4 episodes, like 20 minutes. So you can quickly punch through the first season and jump straight into the second season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So get on that.
Really? 4
Great.
episodes, 20 minutes?
Yeah, they were like 20, 22 minutes each. 4 episodes. Yeah, and it goes by so quick. And I was like, damn, I need more of that. It was kind of just like a teaser. Like, it was really just a teaser to this story. Like, these are the characters. This is what they're doing. Go. And then it's like, it just starts. And then season 2's, yeah, really good. Really, really good. I'm surprised they turned this around so quickly.
I just want to say I gave up on this show on season 1.
Oh,
Really?
Now hearing it was 4 episodes, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't give it a chance, did I?
You were like halfway through the 4th episode and went, I'm done.
I'm done. Packing it in. I'm out.
Did you not like it? Why did you not give it a chance?
I don't know. I remember watching it, and I think something about the art style was throwing me off. And I don't know. It didn't grab me. I guess maybe I was expecting one thing, like maybe, like, you know, it's Castlevania, so maybe I was thinking like of animes like Hellsing, so I thought it was going to be along that border, but maybe it felt too because it's a Netflix made.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we calling it anime? No, animated series, I guess. So
It's an anime, I think. I think you can call it anime.
I'm not opening up Pandora's box.
NATO has feelings on this.
Yeah, I know, and so do a lot of other people on the internet. So I guess maybe something about the style and how it was presented just kind of was rubbing me the wrong way or something. I don't know, but maybe knowing now that it was only 4 episodes, I should probably give it another chance.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might like go back and watch the first 4 and like watch that flow straight into season 2 just so I can get a full feel and opinion for it. But I enjoyed it, but yeah, it just ended way too damn soon. So I need to make some time to watch some animated Dracula goodness because that real world Dracula we talked about earlier sucks ass.
No good.
Something that is a little more positive and less ass sucky. Activision Blizzard confirmed we will absolutely see a brand new Call of Duty game sometime this year, though which studio will develop it has yet to be announced. Yeah, this is, I think, the most, like, no-duh news we'll probably get all year. Like, obviously they're going to pump out another one. Obviously it's going to sell by the boatload and, you know, just keep doing what Call of Duty does. What do they got to do, though? Like, obviously they did... Modern Warfare.
They've done space, they've done everything. Yeah.
Where do they go? Do they go back in time? Maybe it's like primitive warfare type of situations.
I'd
go back into
that.
The 1800s or something and do something like that. I don't know. I don't know where they go.
We haven't had a proper, like Black Ops kind of did, but we haven't had a proper Call of Duty Vietnam game. So I don't know whether that's something that, like, you know, of all the wars, like, you know, they haven't really done that. So maybe that could be a thing. But yeah, I'm still wondering, like, is the Call of Duty bubble ever going to burst? Like, is that juggernaut ever going to slow down? Like, it just keeps rolling on through. Yeah. And, every year everyone's like, oh, no one's going to buy this Call of Duty. And it sells maybe a little bit like, Activision stock drops a little bit because, it didn't sell as well as we projected, but it still outsells every single other game released that year.
Yeah.
I mean, they've, like, the last one they released was definitely received extremely well. The one previous, I don't recall how the reception was on that one.
Well, so we had Modern Warfare, which was
last year, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, which I still want to go back and play. And then before that, we had Black Ops 4, which was no single player campaign. I believe it was Black Ops 4. I don't think there was anything in between that and Modern Warfare, which was basically like, it had your team deathmatch and your kind of like your normal multiplayer, but it was the one with the Battle Royale, with your Blackout Battle Royale, which was like people, like this was the one that people like shit canned, but it still sold phenomenally. And like, I loved it. Like I got it because I was just like, I was in like, COD is like my guilty pleasure gaming. Like when I'm not feeling something, like heavy or story or RPG focused or whatever it is, like I'll just chuck in like a COD and just play like team deathmatch and like just play round after round after round after that. And for some reason, like when Black Ops 4, I had just been playing like not what's the one with Kevin Spacey? Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Warfare.
That's it. Yeah. So I played that, and I was playing like the team deathmatch or whatever, after playing through that campaign. And Black Ops 4 came out. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a go. I'll jump in. And I started playing like the team deathmatch. I'm like, I'm not feeling this. I'm like, I'll give this battle royale thing all the kids are talking about a try. And yeah, like I said, like
and then
heroin,
Blackout
like,
bit you, and you were hooked.
Yeah, it was like gaming heroin, and I was just like, yeah, I forgot where I was at one point.
You need to get your hands on a copy of Modern Warfare from last year, because cross-platform for one, so we can all play together on any ecosystem. I've been playing casually here and there over the last few weeks and over the Christmas break, and it's so good. Yeah, you might be able to get it for a steal. So yeah, more COD this year. No idea where it's going to be set. I'm assuming Sledgehammer's probably going to take it, because Infinity Ward did Modern Warfare last year. They usually sort of have year on, year off cycles. So I'm assuming Sledgehammer's going to jump back into the dev seat. But yeah, where the game's set, who's the lead characters, anyone's guess. Because they've done everything. Like, I know war is eternal, but like, where the hell do you take this? Do you just spin it and go way back in the past or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
But Activision, we got a few more little bits of news about them. They've been busy this week. They are planning to release, in quotes, several remasters in 2020. Activision says that players can expect many more remasters and reimagined experiences from us throughout this year, after the success of revised franchises like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and the aforementioned Call of Duty Modern Warfare. What do you guys think of this as far as these remasters coming their way? Like Dennis Durkin has revealed that they're going to continue to tap into that previous portfolio of beloved IPs with games on their way for this year, which is kind of crazy. I'll just sort of rattle off a couple of potential franchises. Like, you think we might see something like a return of Guitar Hero, or maybe some Tony Hawk's Pro Skater comes back. Maybe they remaster the first Tony Hawk.
Fuck yeah. Tony Hawk himself was like teasing something a couple of weeks ago about potentially like a video game or something like that, but I don't know, like this might be the new COD that they might just go, well, we've done everything, let's just reimagine, the original Call of Duty, or let's reimagine Black Ops, or like, they might just do Modern Warfare 2. They might redo the Modern Warfare franchise, or World at War, like otherwise, like, yeah, what else are we going to get? Tony Hawk's, like Skylanders, is that still a thing? Like the toys with game stuff, like Activision, haven't, like, Gun from 2005, like, I don't know, like, what else are they going to do? Well, might get that Prototype remaster.
Oh my goodness, I didn't half mind Prototype, to be completely honest. It was very violent.
Yeah,
it was very violent.
Yeah, it kind of came out at the same time as Infamous, and it missed the mark.
I'm just having a look through like games that they've made, and like they have a very, very large portfolio. I doubt we're going to see American Chopper 2 Full Throttle get remade, but stranger things have happened.
They have.
My God, they've made some games over the years, or been part of game releases over the years. Bloody Raw, I wouldn't be upset for a Bloody Raw remake. Great fighting game where you fight as dudes that turn into animals and kick each other's behinds. Cabela's African Safari, or the Cabela's hunting games. Love me a hunting game. I know you're a bit of a fan of the old shooter hunter games there, Miss Hart.
Oh, well, I had that one hunting game. Oh, though I do like me, like Big Buck Hunter. Well,
Big Buck Hunter, Big Game Hunter, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. All that we should know is that beer is usually involved whenever I get on that game. So,
yes, as it should, as it should. Alcohol, and weapons go hand in hand. If the world has taught us anything. Yeah, but it's interesting. Out of everything, like, Tony Hawk's seems to make the most sense, because I'm just sort of skimming this list, and outside of 7 million Guitar Hero games and like, I don't know, like Hexen and stuff like that, I'm like, there's not really anything that jumps out.
It looks like Sony has, got the because they used to have the Spider-Man franchise, which now obviously sits with Sony.
Mech Warrior. Does anyone care about Mech Warrior games anymore? No,
I'm sure that the MechWarrior community would be very happy to see a new MechWarrior game.
God, they even did the NASCAR. I actually played a lot of the NASCAR games as I was a kid for some weird reason. I really enjoyed playing NASCAR and just crashing cars and smashing people up.
Who used to do Burnout? Were they Burnout?
I don't think they handled Burnout, but they did do Rampage. Maybe we'll get another Rampage game.
Ooh.
Maybe The Rock will actually star in it. They'll just translate the movie that was the game back into the game. Who knows? But yeah, we'll find out. We don't have to wait too long because they're talking about some of these games releasing throughout this year. So they're going to have to get on the announcement train pretty quick. Oh, there's one for you. Soldier of Fortune. I'd play the absolute shit out of that game if they made that again.
Yeah?
It was so unnecessarily violent. Like, you shoot a guy through the elbow, there's a chance his arm's going to blow off from the elbow down. You shoot him through the foot, there goes his foot. Like, I remember playing that as a kid, and just the hyper-violence in that game just knew no limits. They made a lot of Star Trek games. Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy.
There you go.
Ooh.
Anyway. Oh, Tenchu! There's one! Remake of
Tenchu!
Fucking bring back Tenchu!
Fuck! I would fucking play the shit out of a Tenchu game. Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite games from previous gens of all time. I love that game so much.
Yeah.
So much. All right, so we got a lot to look forward to from Activision this year, a new Call of Duty, and yes, several remasters and reimagined experiences. So let's hope that Tenchu is one of those. And the last bit of news I wanted to bring to the table this week, Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser is leaving the company in March. And this comes via way of Matt Wales at Eurogamer. Rockstar Games co-founder Dan Houser will be leaving the Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption studio this coming March following an, in quotes, extended break that began early last year, according to parent company Take-Two Interactive. Houser founded Rockstar Games with his brother Sam way back in 1998 and served as vice president of creative at the company, as well as writer and producer across a wide range of the studio's titles. His lead writing credits include Red Dead Redemption, Bully, and Max Payne 3. According to a new filing posted to Take-Two's investor relations website, after an extended break beginning in the spring of 2019, Dan Houser, vice president, creator at Rockstar Games, will be leaving the company on March 11th. We're extremely grateful for his contributions, the statement continued. Rockstar Games has built some of the most critically acclaimed and commercially successful game worlds, a global community of passionate fans, and an incredibly talented team, which remains focused on current and future projects. Speaking to GamesIndustry.biz, a Rockstar representative said Sam Houser's role as company president has not changed. The announcement came 2 days ahead of Take-Two Interactive Q3 earnings report, which occurred this past Thursday. So this is some big news. Like, the Houser brothers are Rockstar, and for one of their pillars, one of their founders, and the lead writer of most of their critical successes, leaving... What happens here with Rockstar, Kruse? What's your thoughts on this? You got some opinions, got some feelings?
I do. Yeah, I just feel like this is the extended break thing, and now just sort of leaving with no statement from him. I can't imagine that this has been a positive, amicable break. I have to imagine it's sort of, and there was a couple of things from the earnings call that the CEO said that kind of lead me to believe that. Like, I have to believe this has got something to do with the whole crunch controversy from way back, with all these former Rockstar devs coming out and talking about how the Houser brothers would rule with an iron fist, and the culture was terrible, and they would grind these people basically into the dirt, and you'd be fired. Like, you remember that horrible expose that sort of came out a couple of years ago, and then Dan taking an extended leave of absence, obviously in line with that. I imagine that leave of absence had something to do with that. Maybe he was just taking a break after Red Dead. Maybe it was sort of a forced or a voluntary one. But Strauss Zelnick, who's the CEO, he did say in the earnings call, what did he say? So he said, so culturally, this is a quote, culturally, I've only seen ongoing improvements at Rockstar. Frankly, have only seen growth and engagement and innovation. So, like, just a few of those, like, little quips, like, he's like, I don't speak of other people, but, Sam's highly committed to the organization, etc. and so on. Like, there wasn't a lot of praise or love for Dan. And there was just a lot of talk of, like, no, everything's fine, our culture's actually improving. So just those little sort of you've read the tea leaves. And again, this is 100% speculation, but I can't imagine that it was an amicable split. And I have to imagine it has something to do with that, that crunch controversy from a year and a bit ago.
It makes sense, and regardless of if it was Dan's sole derogative to he was the one driving that crunch, or maybe he's just been made out to be the big bad in this situation, and they need the scapegoat to potentially shift, and then after this be like, hey, our culture's great now, we don't do this anymore, we're a family company and we work 9 to 5 and that's it, and all this sunshine rainbow media beat up. So I'm curious to see, because Dan hasn't really said anything. I haven't seen anything this week on his socials regarding any more of sort of the peeling back of the curtain to give us some thoughts on his inner workings on what's going on here. But it certainly sounds like this was not amicable.
No.
Getting put on gardening leave, anyone knows, like, you're usually getting put on there because they're trying to march you out here, and for reasons that we may never know. But the crunch thing certainly makes sense, and I don't know the guy, never worked for the guy, but from all reports it sounds like he was pretty iron-willed as far as how that company had to run. But
and it's so interesting. There's obviously more to this story, but like that whole controversy, like, it didn't impact in any sort of significant way the sales of Red Dead. It hasn't impacted the continued dominance of GTA 5 being still charting every single month in every single video games chart. The continued resurgence of GTA Online, etc. So it's interesting that this is still Take-Two and Rockstar could have easily just done nothing and continued on. So there must be some sort of internal rift that's gone on for Dan to sort of walk away from the business, or whether he's been pushed out, or guess he would have signed some kind of NDA. So he would. I doubt we're going to ever hear this story unless Jason Schreier busts it open.
Oh, and he will.
He will.
He will. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he sort of appears again in this space. Is he going to stay in the gaming community? Is he going to take up a role or a new mantle at another studio? There is now an opening at the Coalition. The sort of lead writer for Gears has recently jumped across to work on Diablo at Blizzard Activision. So who knows? Maybe you can go along and work on Xbox exclusives and make my green dreams come true. But what do you think, Ms. Hart? You got anything else you want to add regarding this situation? I know, as Kruse said, we are sort of just, it's a lot of hearsay and spitballing and hypothesizing here. So there's no real speculation.
Meat. Yeah, exactly. At first when I heard that he was leaving, especially after a long extended leave, I don't know why, my first thought went like ailment, like being sick. But then, as Kruse kind of went into detail a bit more, I myself have witnessed bad managers and whatnot being forced to take some leave time and then eventually being booted out. So that actually does make sense from a business level. You know what? He himself is probably either just going to cut ties and just do his own thing elsewhere, or he'll I get maybe a Cliff vibe, go off and open up his own studio and then just be a menace to the gaming society, feeling like
and lose millions on failed game releases.
Yeah, like that kind of self
drawn to death. Was that Cliff?
Nah, Cliff did that online shooter.
Yeah,
that escapes me. That it was almost like Mountain Dew Battle Royale. It felt like it was just like everything's gnarly and rad and dialed up to 10,000, and I can't
every
remember what
Twitch
it was
streamer was playing it.
It was Jaffe that did Drawn to Death.
But I guess I kind of get that kind of self-deserving vibe. He's a founder of GTA. A lot of us can think about at least the first GTA game we played. I remember playing the first one from top down, and it's a pillar in the gaming industry.
Changed everything.
Think about it. Yeah, so he'll either just fade into the dust or he will bang his chest. So
yeah,
Yeah. Either way, the severance package that he would have got from this
Oh,
departure would be more money than we could imagine in a lifetime.
Damn, those residuals. Whew, he doesn't have to work ever again.
No,
So,
like co-founder of Rockstar, and he was the joint CEO or vice president of creative. So, there's some pretty sizable titles that they would be paying out for. So, it would be a multi-million-dollar, like hundreds of millions of dollars of severance there. So, he can do whatever the hell he wants after this, and rightfully so. Like, he, as you said, Miss Hardy, he pioneered a lot of the direction of modern day gaming on the back of GTA and very talented man. Don't know about the other stuff, but wish him all the best with whatever happens. And Rockstar, they'll kick on. Like, this is just a speed bump. They're past it now, and they're already moving into GTA 6 and whatever else. Like, you saw the Twitter hailstorm already, and they're like, "Oh my god, what's going to happen with GTA 6? It's going to be the worst game ever!" And oh no, they're rudderless now, and it's like,
it fell in the hands of one person. One person made the entire game.
Yeah, but still big. Like, this is a big departure. Like, he's one of the kingpins of the gaming space, and to see him departing the biggest studio in the world through things that we aren't completely sure of, but have some pretty good ideas here, is maybe some good news, that's for sure. All right, speaking of good news, we've got some new releases coming out this coming week. So we've got a handful of games that are going to be releasing between February 11th and February 14th. Don't know if any of these are tickling your pickles, but let me know if that is the case. AO Tennis 2 is dropping out on February 11th, serving its way onto PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. Yakuza 5, PlayStation 4 exclusive, comes out on February 11th as well. Moving on to February 13th, we see Florence, the mobile gaming super hit, making its way to Switch, PC, and Mac. Anyone that hasn't played Florence, do yourselves a favor and pick it up. Like, it's great just as a mobile game, to be honest. I think it's about $12 on mobile, maybe even less. Really good fun, great immersion, good soundtrack, really heartfelt story and journey you play through on there over a handful of hours. So check it out if you haven't. And on February 14th, if you're looking for some stuff to buy your loved one for Valentine's Day, look no further than maybe a copy of Street Fighter V Champion Edition on the PlayStation 4 and PC. Maybe they're into Darksiders. Get them Darksiders Genesis, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or the Nintendo Switch. Dreams finally makes its way to PlayStation 4, moving out of early access. So, mate,
that game is going to bomb hard. Yeah. We talk about UK studios that are going to be shut down. I think this is like, Dreams is like the amount of time that game's been in development, and like everything, it just say goodbye to Media Molecule, unfortunately.
The amount of money that game would have cost that studio to make and Sony to fund would be insane. Yep. And then the last game that comes out this week on PC is a game called Table Manners, which is apparently a physics-based gaming simulator. Tonight's the night. You've secured a date and you're off to the most glamorous restaurant you know. There's only one problem. You're a disembodied hand with a knack for catastrophe. What in God's name? But this makes me curious. So I'm guessing you're playing Thing almost from the Addams Family in a dating sim. At a restaurant.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Color me intrigued, that's for damn sure. It's releasing this week. It doesn't even have a price attached to what it's going to be selling for come Valentine's Day, but maybe you can live out your weird twisted hand fantasies in Table Manners on Valentine's Day if you don't have a loved one. Get this game, play one-handed, they're playing one-handed, and have a gay old time.
Love it. I love it.
All right. And the last thing, and this is going to sort of lead itself into a question I will have, our tweet of the week, and this comes via way of WWE on Fox. And a little bit of backstory. Game Over Greggy went on and took part on Promo School, which is a new sort of thing they're doing on Fox where they get various personalities on to cut a live wrestling promo. And he fired one directly at Xavier Woods. And one of the lines from the tweet reads, "I'm the one carrying this show on my back like True Kofi carries you every week." And that is Game Over Greggy shooting straight at Xavier Woods on promo school. Xavier Woods then rebutted, fired some shots back at Game Over Greggy. And then the next day, WWE stock dropped 15%. So it's kind of funny have that kind of sway in the professional wrestling space. Is this a coincidence? Is Xavier Woods just a real bad promo guy? Who knows? But I wanted to ask you guys, if you were a professional wrestler, are you a heel? Are you a face? What's your style? If you want to compare how you'd perceive yourself or see yourself as a wrestler that's maybe from today or used to wrestle in the past, who would you style yourself of as a professional wrestler if you're in the WWE or the AEW or the NGPW, wherever you are? Tell me your wrestling stories.
I feel like Ali and I are going to have the exact same answer.
Well, we're probably in the same team, I'm going to say. Because I was going to say I'm definitely modeling myself over Lita.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I got a bit of that Jeff Hardy action.
Yeah, there we go. All we need is our Matt Hardy, and we're good. Come on, Brendan, join us.
Can you be our
Team
Matt?
Extreme, let's go.
I could be Matt. Like the Hardy Boys and like Lita. I was in love with Lita. Like, I don't know if I've shared this story on this podcast, but like there was a good probably year of my life in my mid-teens where I'm like, I'm finishing school, I'm moving to America, I'm going to become a professional wrestler, and I'm going to marry Lita. Like, and it wasn't even just like this dream. It was like, this is happening. Like, went to wrestling school in Canberra for like a few lessons, and I was watching the WWF every day pretty much, and weekly with the shows and the pay-per-views, and I was all about it. But yeah, I could join your stable, but I'd probably envision myself more of like, I'm in the Mick Foley vein, like that Mankind. Yeah. Like, he was one of my homeboys, Mick Foley. So I'd certainly be playing a face, maybe a bit of a lovable face that doesn't mind taking a big bump, throw me off the top of a cell, things like that. Because I'm not really good at flips and things. I can do a swanton bomb, but like I've tried to do like 450 splashes and things like that, and it don't work. Like I can't get the rotation, shooting star presses. I can't do backflips. So
oh man, yeah.
Actually, I'm trying to remember her name. Was her name Victoria? Or
yeah, there was Victoria. She was a bit of a mean woman too.
I liked her though. She's the one that came out to tattoos all the things she said, right?
Yeah.
I fucking loved her. I thought she was great because I think it was roughly around a time where you were like, you had to be a beautiful bombshell still. Like, you could still be strong and be a wrestler when, divas were kind of taking that, turn. Yeah. But she was just a psycho. Like, that was her thing. Yeah. She was just fucking crazy, and I loved her for that. So
yeah, she was a good character. Just Stevie Richards following her out every week.
Yeah. Good old Stevie. He's lived a few lives, that man.
Hasn't he? Hasn't he ever?
Yeah. I remember when he was sort of part of, I can't remember if they were called, like, the censorship or the censors or something.
Fuck, what were they? I was just thinking about this. Fuck, this is going to do my head in.
But it was like him and a reformed Blue Meanie. And I think even... No, Batista debuted as like hired muscle for like a Christian-y guy, if I remember right.
Yeah. But wasn't he with... Wasn't he there with... when Devon was going through that phase? That's right. Devon's... Yeah.
Oh, God, I remember that.
Yeah, Stevie Richards was in the BWO.
Yep.
And then he was in... Right to Censor.
Right to Censor. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Bring back Al Snow, I say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Val Venus, fucking Al Snow and Head. Those are the days.
Yeah. The glory days. That sort of mid to late 90s Raw Attitude Era was peak wrestling. Like, it's still all right nowadays, but yeah, it's nowhere near what it was. So,
Billy Gunn. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, Mr.
Scotty
Ass.
Too Hottie.
Scotty Too Hottie, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Too Cool. And Rikishi.
Yep.
W-O-R-M.
Did you know that Graham...
He's dead.
What?
Grandmaster Sexay is dead.
Oh, do you know... Yeah, he's...
He's Jerry Lawler's son.
Yeah, exactly. Did he die?
Yeah, committed suicide in jail.
Oh, damn.
Well, that was like a double whammy right there.
Fuck. What was he in jail for?
Drugs.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why
that's really sad, because I remember when he came back, I remember like in like 2003 he returned to Raw for like one match and then like was never seen again.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, they live some very hard lives, some of these wrestlers. The pursuit of perfection and fame leads them to do some pretty dicey things, and it catches up to a lot of them, sadly.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
But yeah, that has been episode 181 of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Kruse, as always, it is an absolute pleasure to get you on any form of microphone talking the good
Thanks
stuff
so much
with
for
us.
having me.
So appreciate you being our first guest of 2020.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me so much.
Is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to mention before we close this episode down for another week?
No, I'm not I'm not doing any sort of regular type podcasts anymore.
Why not?
I'm living a life. Honestly, after doing It Is What It Is for a year and a bit, I'm kind of living that ignorance is bliss type lifestyle. I'm trying to avoid all the politics and that, but potentially thinking about doing something a little bit later in the year. But we'll always do, party mode and that at PAX, so that'll sort of be a staple, and you'll hear me on Comedy Rewind from time to time, and other little bits and pieces, and which is exciting. But now just be nice to each other. I think that's the message I've got. Enjoy life, be good to each other.
Amen. And go play Table Manners.
Yeah.
Miss Hart, anything you want to say before we say bye-bye?
No, I'm good to go. I've got to go back to my graveyard.
Oh yeah. Go
And you gotta play that
desecrate a few
game as
more
well.
corpses. I think I'm going to get a copy of Table Manners and try play that this week. This is weird.
If you
I'm
do,
looking at the
fucking
trailers.
record it.
It looks so weird, but I'm all about it for some reason. So I'll see if I can play that this week and report back on episode 182. Yeah, this has been episode 181 of the Hungry Games podcast. Thank you for stopping by, giving us a listen. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe us on all your podcast hosting platforms, but namely iTunes, Apple Podcasts, because those reviews help keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. Once you're done checking that out, head over to 8bitnation.net for all the direct links to our web store, to our Patreon, to our Discord, to our Facebook, and to all the other stuff that is important and orbits the 8-bit sphere. But also check out hashtag 8bit collective on Twitter to link up with all the other great podcasts and content creators amongst the 8-bit stable. But until next week, 8-bit Nation, it's been our pleasure. I don't want to say this. Much love.
Stay hungry.
You've been listening to The Hungry Gamers, one of many gaming and geek culture related podcasts from the 8-Bit Collective over on 8bit.net. Check out more episodes on your podcast service of choice. And while you're there, please be sure to rate and subscribe. Until next time, boys and girls, stay hungry.